We're going over to the Alicante area now, actually, to speak to Jack Ludlam, who's a paparazzi photographer. He started as a TV cameraman and worked in the film and TV industry before moving into still pictures 20 years ago. And I was having a look on his website yesterday and realised it's more of a case of who he hasn't photographed, who he hasn't photographed, as opposed to who he has. Everyone from Mick Jagger to Rod Stewart to Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson, everybody's on there. Absolutely brilliant. Good morning, Jack.
Good morning to you, Hannah.
Hi, lovely to chat with you.
You too, darling.
So tell me a little bit about your background and how you became a paparazzi photographer. How did that happen?
I was freelance as a cameraman. I was getting sometimes quite a lot of work and sometimes there was no work at all, and I'd had to wait till the phone rang. And my dad said to me, "Son, why don't you try that? Go out and do that paparazzi." I said, "Oh, I'm a lighting cameraman, Dad. I don't do all that, you know." And then I just looked at this camera sitting there. And one day I just put some film in there. I thought, I'll give it a go. And I went out and stood outside Langham's. I hadn't a clue. And then I took a couple of pictures, and I thought, I really like this. And I thought, I don't have to wait for the phone to ring. And after a while, I managed to start selling pictures, and I thought, oh, this is great fun.
Yeah.
And it was a question of, if you want to go to work, you just go out and work.
Yeah.
You didn't have to convince anyone to hire you or anything, and stuff like that. So I quite liked it.
And you must be used to people kind of viewing you as the devil. You know, paparazzi photographers don't have a great reputation,
no,
do they?
They don't have a great... But out there on the field, actually, there's a lot of good photographers who are paparazzi as well. Mm. And they bundle around, and they know a lot of the stars, and they have coffee with them and have a chat. And it's not like that. It's not as bad as people think. That's partly true and partly myth. Mm.
I mean, you must get presumably different reactions from different celebrities under different circumstances. Some are probably more than happy to pose and get their photo taken, and some are covering their face and telling you to leave them alone. What kind of experiences do you generally get? Generally,
you don't want them posed if you can help it, because it's not animated. It's nicer if they're walking along for a start. But at the same time, it's good if they're up for the picture, which mostly, and I'd say about 80% of the time, they're sort of okay with it. And sometimes they're having a laugh as well. It depends what mood they're in. And if a celebrity, and when I say celebrity, I mean an artist as well. I mean, the word celebrity is a bit funny. Sometimes these are artists, actors or whatever. They're in a great mood, and you've got a couple of seconds there, or 30 seconds, a minute or so. And, it's that initial contact that's made, there's a vibe that goes on. And that's if you're doing it up sort of close. And you just, and there are days when people don't want their photos taken. They're not in a good mood. Mm. And it probably shows in the picture.
Yes. I mean, there are two different sides, I would say. There must be the side when you're standing outside a restaurant and you've got people who are glammed up and they're going out for the night, and whether they're going into the restaurant or coming out from the restaurant, in general, they're potentially going to be in a good mood. You've got that side of things, but then you've got the other side when they're not made up at all. They might be going down the road with looking to buy a pint of milk. Maybe they've had a heavy night. Maybe they've had an argument with their partner, they've got no makeup on, they've been crying, they're not looking their best at all.
That's true.
And I always think that side of things it must be sad and very, very difficult for these guys to cope with, especially the women, I think.
Well, yes, particularly, but it's the women's mags which buy the pictures, and that stuff sells. Mm. And it's not so much that they're upset, it's just perhaps they're not feeling that they want their picture taken. And then sometimes they're not got no makeup on, and they're as happy as Larry. No, really, I'm not lying to you. Mm. And they're fine with it, and it's okay. But there are times when they think, oh no, I'd rather that there wasn't a photographer over there, so you don't get in their face. But those sort of pictures do sell. and you take them. It's part of the thing of being a celebrity. Now, what happened is the game was realised by agencies. They realised there was quite a few quid in it sometimes, and so they started agencies. Whereas before it was sort of a domain of responsible freelancers. So what happened there was several things that happened. One of them was there was lots of agencies. So people started becoming employed. So then if someone was employed, they'd say, oh, can you go and do so-and-so? And so you'd have several different agencies sending people on a person, for instance, on their list to get. And then it started to get ridiculous. Whereas a freelancer could say, well, look, I think she's had enough. I won't be bothering with that. I'll go on something else. But if you was working for someone else, they had to go and do it. Or, the emphasis was that, you've got to go and get the pictures from someone sitting behind the desk. So that dynamic changed. And there were times when someone would have 5 different agencies sort of on them for, because they're in the news or something. Yeah. And it started to get crazy, so that commercial aspect of it did at times make it ridiculous. But if you're working for yourself, you can say, oh, well, I won't bother doing this. And why would you want to do it if everyone else is doing it? Because it's a harder sell. If everyone's got the same sort of picture, they're putting it to the magazines, it's like, it's a big rush, and the value of the pictures is not going to be anywhere near an exclusive. So
I remember going back to the agency days when you said, lots of people on the same celebrity. Kind of what happened to Britney Spears. I mean, we sent her to shave her head, for goodness sake. I mean, she was really hounded and sort of with photographers like camped outside her house and following her everywhere. I mean, that must be horrible.
I mean, it hasn't happened to me because I'm not one of them, but I can imagine it is horrible, and I don't do it.
No.
You might do it a little bit because, this is quick. Oh, there's a news thing. Or she comes into your radar, and if she's over there, you'll probably take the photo. But, yes, that is one of the commercial sides of it, which is not very nice.
Absolutely.
But, again, the agencies, a lot of them, they all come in, they get people to go, right, you go down here, you go down here. If you've got five different cars following you around and everything, it's crazy. What happened then is they've killed the golden goose that laid the eggs or whatever, and so the value of the pictures come down. There's just far more material going around. The agencies got bought up, some of them, by bigger agencies. It all come a bit commercial. Yeah. And started selling pictures really cheap. So any freelancer photographer was putting this through agency, what are you doing, selling this cheap? So they don't really want to work for them. So it kind of imploded on itself.
Something that I find fascinating is the money that can be in paparazzi photography. And a friend of mine who's a photographer said that you would think that an A-list Hollywood star, a photographer of Robert De Niro, would be worth a lot more than a photograph of some girl from Towie. But he said that's often really not the case, because the magazines are full of reality stars and from soap opera stars and things like that, and they can be worth a lot more money than an A-list Hollywood celebrity.
Absolutely. Financially, if you get someone who's just fallen out of Big Brother or something, and then they're all on it, and that's sort of hot at the moment. But I didn't really like, someone that will come out of Big Brother, or people would become celebrities just for being a celebrity. It was, there wasn't an artist, or there wasn't an actor or something. And I thought, why am I doing this? This is nuts. And so I actually did take a couple of good pictures of Robert De Niro and some other actors. There were days when I thought, I'd rather do this bloke. He's interesting, And so, and later on, when everything's years later, the picture of the artist stands up now. It's great to have,
Yes.
Whereas I look at someone from Towie or whatever, Big Brother or something. It's not. So I was glad that I did that at times. And there's a lot of other photographers think, oh, look, Christopher Walken's floating about, I'll go and get him. It's great. And then later on, you've got Christopher Walken. It's like magic,
Yeah, it's something more to be proud of.
Yeah. You think, oh, that's something. Because of their art, because of what they did, and it stands up years later.
Yeah, definitely. And with regards to some of these big celebrities who you've photographed, have you had good experiences with them? You said, sometimes you can have coffee with them. Have you got any stories to share?
Oh, yeah. Well, my favourite one that I can remember was Jack Nicholson. Whenever he come to town, no one would get any sleep. If you were working nights and that, he'd be everywhere. And it's this guy, and he was funny. And it was just fun doing him and taking pictures of him and the little cracks he said and everything. He could handle it. He was really cool. So, at times like that, that Jack Nicholson, and after a while, he come out. He was with a couple of girls in a restaurant, and we'd been doing him and he was wise enough to let the girls walk out first. So we thought, we won't bother taking a picture. Oh, hello, Jack again. All right, yeah. And I said, oh, mate, any chance of getting a frame with you, Jack? And he said, yeah, okay, mate. And he put his arm around me, and my mate took a photo, and we just did that. And stuff like that can happen, which is a bit of fun.
Yeah, definitely. And what about I have to ask you about the negative side of things. Have you had celebrities push you or throw things at you or swear at you?
Not really, not the celebrities. Sometimes if there's one comes and they've got American security, not knocking Americans or anything, and they can be a bit overzealous.
Right.
Occasionally, but if they're professionals, generally, they might push you, but it was done in a professional way. It wasn't.
They push you in a professional way.
No, I lifted off the ground, but it didn't hurt. And I thought, well, but there was a crowd situation going on at the time, and so but not really. No touching. You don't want to get in it so that there's touching involved. If you can work it. And if there's too many photographers there, sometimes it can be, it can get silly. So you try and avoid that if possible. Yeah.
So would you class yourself as a respectful paparazzi photographer then?
Oh yeah, I would. I would, because you've got to go out and do it again, and you see these people again. And when you go to work, do you want to have arguments all day? You don't really, do you? I mean, all round. And if you're getting into sort of kerfuffles and fluffs all the time, it's not a nice day's work, is it?
No.
So I try and avoid that. But yeah, I've done the odd naughty bit here and there, where I thought they didn't want it for a bit, but I thought, right, I've just got to get this, but then you leave them alone.
Yes. Oh, it's interesting. I could talk to you all day. It's fascinating.
Oh, darling.
If people want to find out more information and check out some of your work, they can have a look on your website, yeah?
Yeah, it's Jack Ludlam Photo Shelter. If you just Google Jack Ludlam, then Photo Shelter, something will come up and go in. You can go in like that, yeah.
Brilliant. Jack Ludlam Photo Shelter. Jack, thank you so much. It's been great to chat with you.
You too, Hannah. Have a good day, mate.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.